Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. I appreciate everybody that's rocking with me. We at like 12,000 subscribers right now. It's crazy. It's blowing up. Y'all see I got the wall art on this side of me. But yeah, I got the wall art now behind me. EOS, got my mugshot painted. I'm gonna drop the link, or I'm gonna drop the Instagram of the girl that actually did this painting for me. If y'all wanna check out her Instagram, see the type of stuff she got going on. I got my old prison ID actually glued on there. Got the box cut I showed y'all, another razor set up on there. And as I present things to y'all through this channel, I'm gonna be gluing it on there just as a kind of like a little memorial type of thing or whatever for this channel. But hey, let's get into it. For this specific episode, I'm gonna be touching down on a serious topic, which is suicide. It's something that's major inside of Florida State Prison. It happens all the time, way too often. I want to give y'all the perspective of someone that I knew, and I want to give y'all my own perspective on this topic. So let's jump right into it. When I hit Appalachia, when I was released from confinement, more or less what I touched on in the last video, I didn't have a cellmate. I didn't have anybody in my room. I was in an empty room. I was by myself for about a week. And I ended up getting one. So, me being me, I didn't like old people whatsoever. By old people, I mean 35 and up. I didn't really associate with them. I didn't want any of them in my room. The reason being is, it was usually 35 and up that was engaging in homosexual activities. And me being 19, young on the compound, I'm white. The younger you are and the whiter you are, that's usually what they go for. That's usually the victims on the compounds. So I already had that against me. Basically the same situation as what I told y'all when I was in confinement and the dude told me he got down in that sense. I wasn't going for it. So I really didn't want to take the chance of anybody being in my room that was like that, just to prevent rumors and anything like that starting, because of how deadly that can be. Rumor starts, you got to do something. You know, add a life sentence to 3 years. It's unnecessary. So the way I somewhat avoided that was just keeping them out of my room in general. Now this dude was a 50-year-old Italian guy. He was like 49, 50 years old. Mad chill though, mad cool. Wasn't on nothing crazy. There was a couple of other white guys, that were in the dorm. The head of the National Socialists was in the dorm, and he knew my bunkie. My bunkie wasn't affiliated with nothing, but he rocked with white guys. He would always hang out around, his own race. But not because he was racist or anything. It's just he stuck with his people. The head of the National Socialist, though, he had a big swastika on the back of his head and everything. So that was a whole nother story. But I knew the head of the National Socialist, and he came and, spoke good to me about my bunkie. Let me know I didn't have nothing to worry about as far as him engaged in those homosexual activities. He never did nothing like that. He was a solid dude. So I was like, alright, it is what it is. He's still old, but, whatever. Generally, we don't have really any OGs in prison. We don't have any older guys to look up to, or older guys that teach game to the younger guys. So there's like a 10-15 year gap in age. Usually everyone, they don't interact with each other because there's nothing to relate to. The older guys don't want to teach the younger guys nothing. The younger guys don't want to listen to the older guys. I learned fast the number one hustle in prison is just to listen. Just shut your mouth and listen. And you'll learn everything you need to learn from somebody. If someone doesn't talk around you, there's a reason he doesn't talk. There's something to learn from that. Someone that talks too much around you, you'll figure out everything about that person by just listening to the person. So, me and this guy, we got cool. From what he told me, he was on America's Most Wanted at some point. He was into banks and armored, trucks and things of that nature. And he had done time before, so he's done state time, fed time. He wasn't new to this. I think he had like 15 years under his belt. So, he's a convict. He's been doing time. Now, like I said, he's about 50 years old. Got a 70-year sentence. So, basically a life sentence. In Florida, we don't have parole. There's no life with parole. There's no, 25 years, and then you're eligible for parole. We don't have none of that. If you got life, you're gonna die. When you get 70 years at 50 years old, unless you get an appeal, you're gonna die. And he broke down his case. He told me about his case. You know what I mean? Like, he gave me the details, and he was even showing me paperwork. He still had all the paperwork. My paperwork, and I know a lot of y'all will hear West Coast guys, specifically California, talking about paperwork. When you go to Florida, especially if you're a YO, these COs treat you like you're dirt, like you're nothing. And they love to try to punk people. They'll take your property and dump it all out in the trash and tell you to keep it pushing. So there goes your paperwork. So if someone tries to check you for your paperwork, you don't even have paperwork. You know what I'm saying? You don't have property. You don't have anything. You got to start over again because the CO trashed all your stuff. Or if your room gets gassed and your paperwork gets hit in the gas, well, now your paperwork's getting thrown out because it's got gas all over it. There's a lot of ways your stuff can get destroyed. But this dude was an old school guy, still had all of his stuff, and he wasn't showing me paperwork because I checked him on it or pressed him, nothing like that. Nobody checks paperwork in Florida. If anything, you can ask a CO and they'll straight up tell you who's a sex offender. That's how deadly Florida is. You can just ask the CO, hey, we got any, chomos in here? Yeah, so-and-so and that sells a chomo. Okay, boom. But, he was just more or less showing me to verify his story and what he was telling me because it was a crazy story. And he straight up told me, there's no chance of him getting an appeal. There's no chance of him getting out. He's you know what I mean? He's done. And, it didn't matter who it was or what religion you were. I always asked all my bunkies, their perspective on what happens when you die. I never grew up religious. I was baptized Roman Catholic, like every other Italian kid I knew. My christening looked like something out of The Godfather. You know what I mean? But I never grew up religious. I never really went to church like that unless it was for a funeral. Or a wedding. It just wasn't a factor in my life. And I wasn't about to go to prison and get religious. There's a lot of people that go to prison and try to jump on that Christian or Muslim or whatever they want to jump on. I wasn't with that. From my experience, the people that did that were weak. Just because you're trying to get put in a faith-based dorm, it's all check-ins and PC and ex-gang members and whatever. So, I didn't go to prison to turn my life around. I more or less went to prison to answer for what I did, learn something from it, and if I was going to turn my life around, it was going to be after my EOS. I used to always ask all my bunkies, what do you believe happens when you die? Because, I didn't have a belief. I didn't know what to believe, but I felt comfort in hearing people that genuinely strongly believed something would happen after death, whether it was reincarnation, it was heaven, whatever it was. I found peace in that. And sometimes it would help me mentally just to get over things because on the street, when it came to people dying, I saw aftermath. Meaning if a place got shot up, I saw the guy laying on the floor, dead body. You know what I'm saying? I never saw someone go from breathing and talking to death until I went to prison. That's when I started seeing people get killed and go from moving and talking to choking on their blood to shaking to their body just shuts down. And there's nothing pretty about it. There's no Holy Ghost that floats up out of them. Nah, bro. You see somebody get hit in their neck, you can see the steam, the heat coming off the blood because it's so warm. You know what I mean? It was nasty, bro. Not steam, but it was gross, bro. It's got a smell. It's a very specific smell. The smell of the blood, and then the smell of the person that dies. Generally, when something like that happens in prison, everybody got to get down. You know what I mean? Or you'll be in a cage or something like that, and you're right by the person's body, you're right there. And if they're dead and everything, They got the crime scene unit that pulls up into the prison, and they got to check everything out. And y'all are there the whole time. You just watch everything that happens. Or they'll take the person and put them on an ambulance or air flight them out of there. And you know, Florida, it's real hot. So what happens is the blood cooks into the ground and stains. And then, you know, they'll have an orderly with a pressure washing the blood off the concrete into the grass. And you know what I mean? Things like that, they stick with you when you see things like that. And they can change your perspective on a lot of things. And it changed my perspective. So I used to always ask everybody, what do you think happens? You know what I mean? And I asked him, and he told me he doesn't think anything happens. So that kind of was like, oh man, you know what I mean? I'm not getting any peace out of this. But he told me he didn't believe anything happens, you know, when you die. And he told me that he didn't even have the will to live anymore. So I asked him, you know, what do you mean? He was like, I don't want to be alive. I don't want to do this same thing every single day. You know, grown men in drama just because to be in drama. He didn't want to grow weak inside of prison. He was at an age where he still had muscle on him. He could still defend himself. But, you know, as you get older and your body starts deteriorating, I would imagine one of the harder things being a man is when you come to the realization you can't even defend yourself anymore. You know? And he didn't want to reach that stage inside of prison. I was healthy in prison. I was 19, I believe, when I met this guy, either 19 or 20. And I wasn't sick. I didn't have to take any medication unless it was like psych medication. And you know, Florida's healthcare system inside of the prison is retarded. There's nothing for you, bro. If you're diabetic, I've seen so many diabetics just pass out and have seizures, shaking in their cell. The CO refuses to come, whatever. They might die, they might helicopter, whatever. But if you have an issue like that, a medical issue, and you go to prison in the state of Florida, you're most likely going to die from that issue because you're not going to get the help that you need, period. You know, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't it's so common for people to die. And like I said, when they die from these things, whether it's having a seizure or a stroke or something that could have been prevented, it's not getting written down that they were neglected by the CO. It was getting written down as, you know, they died from natural causes, which was bull. But he didn't want to reach that stage in life where he was at that point, you know. And he said the only thing he was holding on to was that his mother and his father were both still alive. He told me flat out he wanted to kill himself. Not because he felt bad for himself, but because he wanted to be in control of his own death. And that kind of stuck out to me. You know, I almost liked it in a sense. Like, I'm not going to let you kill me. I'm not going to deteriorate from a disease. Just do it myself. You know what I mean? It was almost like, you know, you just taking it in your own hands. Something that you can't prevent or control, you just took it into your own hands and did it. But he said he was waiting for his parents to pass away because he didn't want to disappoint them anymore, being that he was already in prison and done so many years and had them stressing and sending him money. He didn't want to disappoint them any more than he already had. So he told me he was waiting until they passed away and he was going to kill himself. And, you know, I asked him how. Because there's not too many ways to kill yourself in prison that are quick and easy. He told me what he would try to do was find someone that had heroin or Percocets or any kind of, you know, heavy drug. And he was just going to take as much of it as he could and overdose. And I mean, I've seen overdoses in prison from people smoking K2 and doing other things. I might not have known what they did, but I've seen people, you know, fall off the top bunk and hit their head and their head splits open. I've seen people jump off the top tier and smack off the floor. I've seen people have seizures from drugs and they're foaming out of their mouth and their eyes roll back and, you know, they're just shaking until they go still. All type of things. So in my head, I'm thinking like, damn. You know, you want to OD, that doesn't sound like the peaceful way to go out, but to each its own. I had a conversation with someone who had been down about 20 years, and he told me, I don't know if it's true or not, but what he told me is that every compound in the state of Florida has a marksman. So they basically got a sniper in case there's a hostage situation. When he told me his suicidal thoughts, you know what I mean, how he wants to kill himself after his parents die, I got to thinking about it myself. And it's not that I was suicidal having 3 years, no. A lot of younger kids that were in there were killing themselves because they were getting raped. You know what I mean? You had kids that were in there for, DUIs, drugs, car accidents, like stupid things, like, or maybe burglaries, grand theft in the state of Florida at that point in time was anything over $250. It was a felony. Anything over $250 punishable by up to 5 years. So you could have a kid that stole some Beats headphones, and now he's doing 5 years if he gets maxed out. You know what I mean? You just have people that shouldn't have been around certain people. We don't have leveled yards, level 2, level 3, level 4 now. We just got a mix of people in one spot. You got everybody there. The killers, the kids that did nothing, the drug addicts, whatever. And you had a lot of these young kids coming in and they were just getting raped brutally. There was one kid, and in this situation, he was sitting on a toilet. Our toilets didn't have dividers in the open bay dorms. So it was just toilet seat next to toilet seat next to toilet seat. And, he was in there using the bathroom. He's sitting down. And an older black guy ran up to him with a knife. And he told him, turn around. Don't even wipe, just turn around. This is a story that was told to me. I wasn't in this specific dorm when this happened, but I was at the compound when this happened. So, he tells the kid turn around, the kid starts crying. I mean, this is like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. And the guy with the knife tells him, if you're not going to turn around, then you need to, I don't want to get into details too graphically, but you can pretty much understand what I'm getting at. So the kid started doing it, performing a sexual act on the guy with the knife. And at some point in time, the kid stopped and he refused to keep going. And the guy with the knife just started stabbing him up. Just hitting him with that knife. Bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? I don't know if he got air flighted or if the ambulance came, but that's how serious it is in there. And it's situations like that, when you feel so powerless, when you feel so you can't do anything to help yourself, your confidence, your manhood, everything's been taken from you. They just killed themselves, bro. It happened all the damn time, you know what I mean? And in prison, there's no sympathy. So when you kill yourself, everybody isn't shocked by it or nothing like that. Everyone just views it like, oh, he took himself out the game, you know what I mean? He was too weak to handle the situation he was in. And it's tough to be, it's tough to witness that, and it must suck to be remembered like that. That you were victimized and you killed yourself and everyone else is looking at you like, well, instead of killing yourself, you should have just killed him. But there's situations where even if you try to kill the person that did that to you, you're not going to win. That was one of those situations. So, I mean, suicide was really, really common inside of the prisons, mainly the adult prisons. And, being that a lot of the situations like that happened, they were targeting white kids, I used to think to myself, you know what I mean, you try me on that, I'm doing my best to do what I have to do. And with that comes time. Florida, it's a life for a life. If you take a life in prison, 9 times out of 9, you're not going to get away with it, and you're going to do life in prison. And that night after he told me everything about suicide and everything like that, I just got into thinking about it. And I told myself, if I had to do something where I caught a life sentence or something like that, I'll ride out like 10, 15 years and try to get an appeal. But after that much time, and once my people start dying away, I'm not doing the whole bit, bro. I don't want to deteriorate just like he said. I don't want to wait until I get a disease and everything starts shutting down. And I'd rather just take myself out of my glory, you know what I mean? And the guy that told me that there was a marksman at every prison, you know, what I thought of is, if I was going to kill myself, how I would do it is, you know, there would be female COs on the rec yard. There'd be males, there'd be females. But I would specifically grab a female, being that I'm pretty sure I could overpower the female and grab her up and pretty much pretend to pull a hostage situation. And the reason I would do that is because, you know, I can overpower the female, have a knife or whatever. I would have no intentions on hurting the female. I'm not gonna, you know, oh, if I die, I'm taking someone with me. Not at all. The reason I would do it on the rec yard is because I could smell that fresh air. You know what I mean? I could smell the grass. I could smell nature. I'm not smelling the inside of a dirty dorm, you know? And when I hold her, I could hold myself so that they have a clear shot. You know what I mean? And, you know, my thinking behind it was I would hold her in a position where they have a clear shot, and I would look up at the sky, at the Florida sky, you know? Even when you're in prison, I mean, the sky is still gorgeous. You know, you might see birds, the sun. But I would just look up at the sky and the clouds, and I would wait until the bullet hit me, you know what I mean? Until I get shot in the face and my head's gone, or whatever happens, happens. But, you know, I heard that when a gun goes off, the bullet hits you before you even hear it. So I would feel no pain, you know? And that's how I thought to myself, if I was in a situation like that, I would take myself out, and that's how I would do it. And it's crazy thinking like that, you know what I mean? It's crazy to even think out something like that to that detail. But I mean, in prison, bro, you got so many people. You see the skies covering their arms, you know, from like their elbow to their wrist. There's nothing but scars from cutting themselves. Their legs are cut up. You got people that have cut their own throats. You got people that have mutilated themselves, their genitals, everything. You see a lot of craziness, you know? And I don't know, that's just what I thought of to myself. Like, if I was going to do it, that's how I would do it. And I feel that would be the least painful way to do it. But he wasn't my bunkie for that long. Short after we had that conversation, he got into it with a guy, and I was asleep in the cell. The door was popped though, and I wake up and I look down and I see, you know, my cellie telling the guy to come in the room, come in the room, come in the room. So I jump up immediately, and I'm sitting on my bunk, and I'm thinking someone's gonna walk in the room. How I am, if you're my bunkie, I'm rocking with you. Period. If you're my bunkie, I'm gonna rock with you. If someone comes in our room, you swing, I'm hitting them. Cause he came into our room. You know what I mean? Like, this is my room too. So, you know, if my bunkie wanted to fight somebody one-on-one, they get in the paint, they get in the paint. But you come into my room, I'm getting involved. Whether we jump you or whether he fights you, then you fight me after. One or the other, I'm getting involved. Because it's just a respect thing. You know, this is where I sleep. This is where my property's at. And, you know, in most cases, if something goes down in the cell, both people in the cell go to confinement anyway. So I prop myself up on the bunk, and I get ready for, if the dude comes in, I'm going to kick him in the side of the head from the top bunk. And, you know, I'm going to jump on top of him. Me and my bunkie are going to beat the brakes off of him. And dude doesn't come in the room, you know what I mean? And all the doors pop, and we get told it's locked down. You know, we got to lock down for a head count, and then we go to chow. So when the door's locked down, my bunkie, he's like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes and grabs a poker. We had a poker in the room, you know what I mean? It was his, but he told me, because we're bunkies and he's cool with me, if I ever needed it, let him know. He'll put a handle on it. Bada bing, bada boom, you know what I mean? So he puts the handle on the poker. It was a fence poker made out of like a chain link fence, like what I got tatted on my, you know what I mean? Like a little fence poker. They're not the best pokers. If you hit bone, they bend. But if you sharpen them up right, they'll definitely puncture something, especially if you're hitting like someone's stomach or something like that. A neck, it'll go right through. But you hit a rib or something like that, it's going to bend. I don't really think it could go through clothes that good. And so he gets the poker ready. And he's like, I got 70 years. I'm not here to play with nobody. If he wanted to fight, that was his chance to fight. He didn't want to come in the room and fight, so you know what? I'm just going to go all the way. It is what it is. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I can't talk this man out of this. You know what I mean? He's determined. He's got everything ready. It just has to play out how it plays out. You know what I mean? You can't interfere in things like that. If it's time to handle up, it's time to handle up. Literally, the second the door pops, the guy he got into it with came out. He ran at him in the day room and just starts, hitting him with the poker. He grabbed him. The guy had a jacket on, the prison jacket. So he grabs him and he's hitting, trying to stab him up. So come to find out, the damn poker couldn't go through the jacket. It wasn't penetrating through. So the whole time he's trying to stab him, the dude's screaming, ah! And he's not even getting stabbed. So my bunkie runs over to the mop closet, does something, then he comes back to the cell and sits in the room. You know what I mean? The COs see the whole thing go down. The guy runs up to the window. He's banging on the window to get the CO's attention. They're already watching. They're calling for backup from the booth. And they pop the door. The guy runs out, runs up to the CO screaming for help. So, the little emergency squad runs in. They rush to my cell. They cuff up me. They cuff up my bunkie. The second they cuff me up, my bunkie told them he did it. He told them flat out, I didn't do anything. I didn't say nothing. I'm not going to say nothing. Period. I'm not saying nothing. I don't care how far this goes. I'm not saying nothing. But he flat out was like, hey, he didn't have nothing to do with this. I did that. Da 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 da. They're like, you did what? What did you do? He was like, y'all know what I did. They really didn't know though. So they searched the whole room. They don't find nothing. They searched the mob closet because they seen him run in there. They don't find nothing. They never found the poker. Because the guy didn't have any stab wounds on him, they thought he was just punching him. They didn't actually see the weapon. The cameras in there are so grainy. You know what I mean? It's like flip phone quality, so they can't see anything. Both of them get put under investigation. They end up getting DIs for fighting. Within 30 days, both of them come back out. So the guy that my bunkie got into it with, he gets moved back into our dorm, like our quad, and then my bunkie gets moved in, I believe, like quad 2. So they're back in the same dorm. So this is what I'm talking about when y'all like don't believe that when people get into it, you'll do your time and get put right back into the same area with the same person you did something with. That's what's so dangerous about it. I cut you. You do 60, you go on investigation and get back out. I do 60 days, I get back out. Now you try to come and cut me. So they both hit the compound at the same time. They both wrapped up their DR at the same time. And the crazy dude that my bunkie got into it with, he gets moved back in the quad. So this dude was like 6'2". He was a Spanish guy. He used to just act like he was crazy, like pretend. Like you pretend look angry and all that. And act like he's insane and like talk to himself, but it just seemed fake. You're only crazy if you think you're normal. If you think you're crazy, you're not crazy. That's something I learned in prison. You're only crazy when you think you're normal. This dude thought he was crazy. Wasn't crazy. And he got his car pulled. So he got into it with this guy from Orlando. Dude from Orlando supposedly had like 15 bodies. You know what I mean? Everybody knew he had a graveyard. He was a known killer from the streets. He was one of the older guys from Orlando, so he was like the OG in a way. And we don't have shot callers in Florida, but if we did, he would be the shot caller. So, this guy, he beat, I think it was 3 murders. And then the 4th murder he beat was of a law enforcement officer. So supposedly he killed a sheriff and beat the murder. So he was well known. And his energy was just different when you were around him. He didn't talk too much, but he talked. He gambled a little bit. He always watched football. He bet on the games and stuff like that. But his energy was just different. You could feel a different vibe when you were around him. You know what I mean? And he just seemed cold. He didn't seem like he had emotion when you looked at him in his eyes. He just seemed like there was something missing. And I guess that's what happens, when you kill that many people. You just don't feel as attached to human beings. And he got into it with the dude that got into it with my bunkie. And the guy that got into it with my bunkie told the guy from Orlando, he was like, "Oh, I'll kill you." And it was over something stupid. Like, the guy was mumbling something about the COs, and dude from Orlando was like, "Man, shut up." He's like, "Shut your mouth. I don't even want to hear it. Just shut up." And that dude was like, "Oh, I'll kill you." So once I heard that, I tuned all the way in. Like, something's about to go down, you know what I mean? So dude from Orlando, he was like, "You'll kill me. I'll show you what a kill is." And he goes back to his room. So anytime somebody goes back to their room, you know what they're going to get. So he comes back out with his shirt off and one hand in his pants, and he's clutching something. So he tells the other guy, he's like, "Hey, come get in the room with me. Let's tear it down." The other dude that got into it with my bunkie immediately goes back up to the window. Bang, 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 bang. Goes up to the COs, tells them the dude's trying to kill him, Now quickly, the other guy from Orlando passed off the knife, and when the COs came in, they searched his room, they didn't find nothing. Because nothing actually happens, and this is the second time this dude is checked in out of this quad, they put him back in confinement. They didn't even take the guy from Orlando. They weren't even worried about it. You know what I mean? But it's very, very, very dangerous when you're around people that have nothing to lose. When you're around someone that, is in prison for a murder, has killed multiple people, supposedly killed a cop. You got a graveyard. When you're around people like that, or when you're around people that have nothing to lose because all their loved ones have died, they got suicide on their mind. Most people that are suicidal are homicidal. You see all these school shooters and everything. A lot of them try to kill themselves or do kill themselves, and they just take the coward way out and take innocent people with them. But when you're dealing with someone that's mentally going through it to the point that they want to kill themselves, and then you piss that person off, it's a dangerous situation. It's dangerous just being in the room with them. You know what I mean? I might be sleeping and dude feels some type of way and just hits me up for no reason. It's insane. But suicide is so common in there. And there's no sympathy from the staff, and there's no sympathy from the inmates when it happens. And when your own people are affected by it, you try to help as much as you can and talk as much as you can, but sometimes you just know. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you can't understand that person's pain. You just can't unless you lived it. You know what I mean? I couldn't understand my bunkie's pain of having that much time. You gotta die in this. All your other family members done died off. Your mom and your dad are left and you're just waiting for them to die. I can't understand that pain without living through it. I could see it in his eyes, but I could never understand it. You know what I mean? And it's another aspect of prison that a lot of people don't consider when they consider committing crimes and putting themselves in this position. And that's what this channel is all about. It's about bringing up the different aspects of prison that you're not thinking about when you go out and commit the things that'll send you into prison. These are the type of situations you will have to deal with. And hopefully, if you have to go to a place like this, if you have to go to prison, you don't succumb to these thoughts, because everybody has these thoughts in prison. Hopefully nothing happens to you where you do something like this to yourself, and hopefully you don't run into anybody that's on that type of time. You know what I mean? It's not the place to be. And like I said, it's a sad situation. It's a dangerous situation. But prison, there's no room for sympathy. You kill yourself, and just as fast as that bunk was empty, another person's gonna get put right in it. But hey, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. We got more stuff coming soon. Big shout out to everybody that donated to me. I got a new mic. I'm not using it right now because I don't even know how to hook this thing up yet, but I'm gonna learn soon. But that was straight off the donations. I really appreciate it. You know, everything that gets donated is getting put right into this channel. I appreciate everybody that's been rocking with me, everybody that's subscribed to me, all the positive comments, all the support from all around the world. It's much appreciated. Like I said, I try to respond to everybody. If you really want to reach out to me, definitely DM me on Instagram at 1090_Jake. You know, the YouTube comments, it hits 1,000, 2,000 pretty quick, so it's kind of hard to keep scrolling through. But hey, I appreciate y'all. See y'all next time.